Hello, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar titled 5 Ways AI Enhances Data Backup in Business Continuity. My name is Kevin Collins from Unitrends, and I'm here with Dick Saplar, Product Marketing Manager, and he'll be taking us through the presentation. And don't forget, one lucky attendee will be walking away with a $100 Amazon gift card. We'll contact the winner via email after the webinar. But before we get started, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. The session will be recorded, and after the event, you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version of the webinar. I would also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. You can do so by typing them into the Q&A box in the bottom right of the player. We'll answer your questions at the end of the session. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dick. Enjoy the presentation, and Dick, take it away.
Not to take too much of your time, but as Kevin said, my name is Dick Saplar. I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Unitrends. I'm coming to you today from beautiful, sunny Burlington, Massachusetts. So just like to take the next 20 minutes or so and share how artificial intelligence is now gaining traction in backup and continuity tools, and then how you can make them work for you. This is a particular important topic because backup is actually becoming more than just backup. Backup tools sit in a very strategic location. They sit literally at the center of IT, and they touch all corporate data, all the critical applications, all the critical infrastructure. And so backup really is, this is at a time when we're trying to transition backup from being just backup and recovery to actually using the tools, the backup information, the data and all, to enhance the whole job of IT. And so what you'll be seeing today is some of the, using AI to expand the scope and the reach and the performance of backup tools. And what AI is doing is actually making IT simpler and smarter. And so whether you call it artificial intelligence, machine learning, predictive analytics, these are all basically flavors of intelligence. These tools are getting simpler and smarter, which is really important because we all know that right now IT is being asked to do more with less, less time, less money, fewer headcount. And so these tools are becoming more efficient and requiring less management time and attention. So really, how can AI help make backup tools more proactive and easier and smarter than they are today? One is a whole area around ransomware, and ransomware is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. We'll delve into that. It also is doing a better job at predicting the impact of an outage, letting you know more about the type of recovery issues that you're going to have, the data that is at risk, and then also we're using AI to actually predict what hardware is about to fail and taking steps to correct those solutions before they really even become issues. So let's deal with the first issue, and that is ransomware. And we are starting to use artificial intelligence to identify ransomware attacks earlier in the process. And the ransomware today is becoming much more clever. What they'll do is they'll actually sit inside a data center and not identify themselves immediately so that they have the opportunity to lurk around, find more files, encrypt more data, and they'll actually look for backup files to delete those and encrypt those to make a ransom much more likely to be paid. So the newer versions keep a lower profile, and AI is now playing a role in being able to detect a ransomware attack sooner so that you can take steps to limit its destruction. So, some scary facts. Ransomware is here to stay. It's a billion-dollar industry. Cyber criminals are increasing. Our government says that they have about 4,000 ransomware attacks daily. And we even have, if you go into YouTube, you can actually see ransomware as a service. The ransomware criminals are actually selling their software for a piece of your ransomware activity. This is a board-level conversation. We're hearing about this more and more at the CIO and the COO levels. And we have an ebook, a Beginner's Guide to Ransomware ebook that's available on the Unitrends website that we would encourage you to read and study. But our Unitrends appliances are actually delivered in hardened Linux. Now, most ransomware pirates actually target Windows applications. Windows are far more numerous. They are the platform of choice for most corporations. Plus, Windows is written as an open architecture with all sorts of devices and capabilities turned on, and it's left on as an assumption. But Linux is written as a hardened architecture, and everything is turned off so that it makes it harder for ransomware attackers to get in. But the other thing that we have with a hardened approach and with an appliance approach is that the devices and the software is really written to do one job, and that is to work inside of the appliance in a very limited fashion. So there are fewer borders, there are fewer boundaries. All of the devices are actually written to do just the job of working. So by reducing the complexity of your backup solution to an appliance, to fewer backup appliances, you actually lessen the exposure of your corporation to a ransomware attack. But what about AI? And so now we are using machine learning, change rate prediction, data entropy, randomness of data creation as measurements to detect in near real time active ransomware infection. When we take a backup, we understand what that file looks like and what its footprint is. And if it then is threatened with ransomware and encrypted, we can recognize the patterns that ransomware produce to tell whether that file is likely to have been encrypted by a ransomware virus. Once that threat is detected, once an unusual level of change has been accomplished in a backup, we will send alerts to the administrator so that they can take action, stop more files from being encrypted, and back up and recover those files that have already been affected by the ransomware attack. So AI is helping us to detect the ransomware attacks earlier, and as ransomware tries to become more stealthy in the future, our predictive learning and machine learning capabilities will be able to detect them earlier and earlier. The second area that AI is helping is predicting recovery times. And this is really important because the cost of downtime is rising and rising. I'm sure you've heard this from other vendors, that as more business processes are automated, as employees are working off-site and all, the impact of downtime is rising. And so, you know, if you think that a 99% uptime, for example, is really good, but you can see that even a 99% uptime means that you're going to be down for about 4 days per year, or about 7 hours on average per month, and with an average cost of downtime of about $9,000 per minute. And I've seen higher estimates, I've seen lower estimates, but 9,000 seems like a pretty good one. Even a 99% uptime costs you about $4 million in downtime per year. So using AI tools to actually predict what your recovery times are, to isolate down on where those recovery problems, those issues that are causing you to have problems, and fixing them in advance can save you literally millions of dollars per month. So Unitrends offers a product called Recovery Assurance that will do regular and automated recovery time projections by actually launching a recovery from your backups to the point of actually starting up the application. And what it will do then is create a report that will show you where your recovery time has failed. And so here's a sample screen that shows you where there were issues with the recovery times, so that you can go back and fix these so that you're sure that when a downtime event does occur, that your applications will come back the first time and every time. The third area that AI is helping with backup and recovery is predicting the types of data loss that you're going to have. Now, this chart on here is something I used to use as an industry analyst, showing all the different causes and the approximate percentages of different types of causes of downtime. This was actually done a couple of years ago based on some research that I did, and the virus attack, I believe, has grown now that ransomware has become such a larger factor in our lives. But you talk about lost sales, customer contact information, employee productivity. These all have real business value. So understanding the sort of data that you're going to lose from a downtime event actually helps you understand where it is that you want to do investments and which applications you should bring up first in the event of an actual downtime event. So this is actually the user interface, the dashboard that is on our backup screens. And what you'll see here is this is all tile-based, so you can move these tiles around and organize them. You can put on the dashboard exactly the sort of information that you want to be able to see in managing your applications. But one of the things that we'll do is actually highlight with recovery assurance any failed downtimes, any failed recoveries, and which applications are not coming back, and therefore gives you a better idea of what sort of data you're going to lose if there's a downtime event. So there is a lot of artificial intelligence that's now being used in recovery assurance to actually simulate downtime events and therefore isolate down the sort of data that you need to protect. This actually, understanding what sort of data is at risk also allows you to have a business level conversation with senior management or with regulatory agencies so that you can better understand and better negotiate what sort of tools and budgets you'll get to mitigate against downtime. So there's a better view of knowing the impact of the outage. Here you can see we ran a backup here. It was successful, whereas your profile you wanted to recover in 1 hour, you were able to recover in 3 minutes. So then you know that your data loss exposure is only for about 3 minutes. The fourth area that AI helps in reducing downtime is predicting hardware failure. Hardware will always be an issue. With power supplies, spinning disks, even software corruption, human error, and so forth, you're still going to have errors. But in the hardware area, by monitoring the heartbeat of the hardware, you actually get a sense of what is the normal range of performance. And when you start seeing variations of this, you can use some predictive analytics software to start to understand when particular devices within the hardware are going to fail. And Unitrends uses software called Elastic Stack to actually track system performance and predict hardware and software performance issues. So we will literally send out replacement hardware before there's actually been a downtime event on your hardware platforms in anticipation, using AI as a predictive tool for hardware failure. And the fifth and final area that we'll talk about today of downtime is business policy automation. Setting backups, knowing the details to set can be a very complex process. There's a lot of details such as backup locations, how many backups to store, what sort of RPOs you're trying to get to, and so forth, that it forces you to focus on the backup process rather than the business process and what you're trying to protect. So you should actually have two different ways of setting your backup policies within your systems. You should have the ability to enter in the details of the backup if you want to work that way, setting up the schedule, showing the dates and the hours of when to do the backups, and even being able to throttle back on the backups so they don't affect network performance. If you want to manage your backups at that level, that's great. But you should also have the ability to set business policy automation. And that's where you use a screen, and this is actually a screen from our user interface called SLA Policy Automation, where you literally just define the recovery point objective that you have. I want to recover in 1 hour, and I want to keep my backups for a certain number of days. I want to delete the backups after a certain number of days, and then let me know if I'm going to fall out this retention. This allows the intelligence of the device to actually go then and set the details of the backup policies so that you can meet your RPO goals. So a much simpler way of doing this from a business process perspective, and then letting the intelligence of the device actually go and manage the details for you. Once you set it at that level, then recovery assurance will run the tests to make sure that you can actually meet those RPO goals, and actually recovery assurance gives these compliance reports that are suitable for sharing with senior management, with auditors, and so forth, to prove that you can actually meet your recovery point objectives. We have many customers, about 15,000 customers around the world, many of them in the medical industry, and these customers use these recovery assurance reports as part of their HIPAA audits to show that not only do they have a plan, but they can actually meet those plan objectives and pass their HIPAA audits. So as we were saying is that one of the ways that you avoid introducing backup and ransomware issues is to have a simple solution. So if you were to take and try to create your own backup solution, you'd probably have 10, 12 different forms of software, hardware, and all that you would have to integrate, manage version controls, and upgrade and all, versus just using an appliance. The appliance has it all baked in. Again, it's delivered in hardened Linux. It's a simple, fully integrated solution. And it also includes software that allows you to integrate with the cloud. We have our Unitrends cloud, which provides disaster recovery solutions and long-term retention, or you can integrate with hyper-scale clouds such as Amazon or Azure. The Unitrends cloud is fully supported with DRAS. The beauty of using a Unitrends cloud is that we provide the whole solution. There's no finger pointing as far as where the service issues are. There's a single management interface from a single vendor. And we can support physical and virtual disaster recovery as a service. We have infinite retention available for long-term retention. Literally, you just tell it how long you want to store your data, and then the tiered pricing, which I'll take you through in a second. We're also the only cloud vendor that offers a 1-hour recovery SLA for your most critical applications. So we will offer you standard DRAS for any application, but for those critical applications that you need up, we will, to guarantee, to gain your confidence and also to ensure that you have our attention, we will offer you the SLA for your most critical applications. And obviously lots of WAN optimization and data seeding so that we can move your data into the cloud if you send us a disk or a tape, as well as recovery services so that if you've lost your entire data center, we can send you recovery on hard media rather than having to depend on it over a WAN. With our tiered cloud pricing, basically you buy it by the amounts that you need. In 500 gig increments, 500 terabyte, 1.5, 2, or greater. Then what you do is you choose your retention window. 90 days at one end, by year, all the way up to forever, depending on the data retention requirements that your company has for different types of data. Then you can decide on what sort of DRAS you want, whether you want standard DRAS for all your applications, or you can choose premium DRAS for your mission-critical applications where you get the 1-hour SLA. And to help you with this process, we have on our website a Unitrends Cloud Cost Calculator, where you can go in and you can tell it how many years, how much data, how many recoveries you think you're going to be, and we'll price it out compared to Amazon and Azure, so you can see and estimate costs and budget estimates. That's free. Feel free to go in. And then finally, as a proof of all of this, we wanted to show you that Gartner has published their 2017 DRAS Magic Quadrant. You can see that Unitrends is just outside of the leaders category there. The other vendors there, IBM, SunGard, Island, they focus on the largest enterprises, very Fortune 500 class vendors. InfoScale focuses only on SMEs. Unitrends provides backup and recovery for customers of all sizes. I should also say that Unitrends is the only company that's on this Magic Quadrant, as well as Gartner's Data Backup Magic Quadrants. Literally, there are over 200 companies that are included in either or both of these quadrants, and Unitrends is the only one that has made it on both. So kind of great third-party validation that by Gartner of Unitrends' DRAS and backup capabilities. So with that, that really is the end of the formal presentation. There are some resources that are available to you on our web. We have some free downloads so that you can try our products before you buy. We also will do some demos for you. You can request a custom demo on our website or talk to one of our continuity experts and they can talk about your specific needs. But at this point, I'll turn this over back to Kevin and to address your questions. So, Kevin?
Thanks, Dick. Great presentation. As a reminder, you can still ask a question. You can do so by typing it into the bottom right-hand corner of the player. And let's just dive right in. First question is, can you go into detail on the SLA you offer for DRAS?
Yeah. So what it is so beyond just the 1 hour, is you designate which of the VMs that you need to brought up first as a priority. And they obviously, we include recovery assurance testing as part of that service, and we'll report to you on a monthly basis to prove to you that you will be able to come up in less than an hour. Most of our recoveries are literally measured in 2-3 minutes. We put the 1 hour there to differentiate ourselves, but really the recoveries are much faster. And so we report to you monthly the details of your recovery. If there are any issues, we go ahead and fix them. And therefore, if you ever do have a downtime event, those are the VMs that are scheduled to come up first.
Okay. Next question is, can AI be hacked, and how do we safeguard against it?
AI is part of the code within the, for us, Linux appliance. So we have multiple levels of security. Many times before we'll allow you to reset parameters within your backup schedules or to establish a schedule, we ask you to re-certify who you are. And so we're very confident that that is protected and as is the rest of our operating system from hack and being taken over.
Okay, next question is, can your appliances protect Office 365 in the cloud?
Okay, so the appliances that you would actually deploy on your site, both the hardware and the software versions, don't actually protect Office 365. We're finding more and more of our customers are starting to use those applications as software as a service. So we have a separate service that we offer that actually goes, you take one of our software appliances and put it in the cloud, and it does the backups of Office 365, and it will then do forever retention. It'll allow you to self-service your recovery. You don't have to depend on Microsoft to do that for you. And you also get granular recovery. You can recover an individual file, an email, a contact, a shared drive, or whatever it is in OneDrive that you need. So it will be a separate service outside of your appliance, but yes, we can protect Office 365, which includes SharePoint, Exchange, Mail, and OneDrive.
Okay. The next question is, are there backup limits on the Forever Cloud other than the restrictions of total storage purchased?
No, we will keep those retentions forever. I used to work for a company and a large organization, and their data retention schedules, actually about half of the data they had to keep, they were required to keep forever. So things like employee exposure to dangerous chemicals, results of drug trials, the meeting minutes of the board of directors, data like that actually has to be kept forever. And so we have unlimited as one of the offerings for our recovery with Unitrends Cloud.
Okay, and the last question is, where are your clouds located?
Okay, this is actually a very important question if you're located outside the United States, because many countries won't let critical information outside of their geographic boundaries. So we have multiple cloud locations in the United States. We have spun up a cloud location in Canada for our Canadian customers. We have a location in the UK, we have a location in Germany, and another cloud in Australia. So 5 countries right now. We're adding more all the time, and if somebody came to us and said, you know, we need a location somewhere else, we have the capabilities of doing that as well.
All right. Actually, we have a couple more questions that have come in. Does Unitrends work with Dell EMC VxRail?
EMC, I'm not familiar with that product. If it is a storage device, or if it's a storage device, then our software version of Unitrends Backup Appliance software can work and use that as the remote target for backups and storage.
Okay. Should a malware attack occur and successfully manage to infiltrate the backup local appliance, what would be available to recover from this?
Okay, so the backup appliances out the back, while they do the backup, they do a full differential backup. They then replicate that backup to a remote site. You know, we strongly recommend people follow the 3-2-1 strategy. 3 copies of your data, 2 different forms of media, one of them in an off-site location. So the appliances are very good at replicating. They have WAN optimization capabilities, compression, encryption, deduplication, all built in to a remote location if you're a larger organization and have multiple data centers under your control, or to the Unitrends cloud, or hyperscale cloud like Amazon. So we would then fall back to the last good backup that you have off-site. So it's good protection. It's good strategy to use the 3-2-1 or grandfather, father, son strategy, and the appliance can work with that.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time. As a reminder, this webinar was recorded and you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version of the webinar within the next day or so, and we'll also contact the winner of the $100 Amazon gift card this afternoon. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to having you on future webinars. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.